All right, so let's say you're a videographer or photographer looking to get into the world of live streaming in some way. Maybe you're curious to start doing this for yourself in terms of social media or getting your own brand out there, or you're looking to add this as a service that you can provide to clients, whether on a small, medium, or even a large scale. Now, you're probably aware of the fact that you're going to need a few different devices to probably do this in a good professional sense. Obviously, among them including a camera, a lens or two or more, and then a laptop will certainly be an important piece of that as well. However, one of the things people will often overlook or initially not consider is the importance of a capture card. And in this case, a capture card is really just a device that's going to help get the video and audio signal from your camera or any other device you may need to take the signal from, such as a video switcher, and get that into your computer so that you can bring that signal into any application or program that you're using to facilitate a live stream. Now, there are a lot of camera manufacturers today, like Canon and Sony, with the Imaging Edge application that will let you use your camera as a webcam with just a USB connection and no additional capture card. However, there's often caveats to this people don't generally think about. For one, in Sony's case, the software does not carry an audio signal, so you will have to figure out an alternate means of getting audio from your camera or just in general into your live stream. For a second point, while Sony's application does support a wide range of their Alpha series cameras that have been developed over the years, not all software will support a range of different models, so you may find the camera model that you have either will not work with that software or won't work as well as others. And for a third important point, this also means that you're completely dependent on this proprietary software to make your camera accessible as a webcam or connected camera every time you want to use it. And this entails some additional setup and installation hurdles you might not want to deal with whenever you're trying to execute a live stream. Now, when I started looking into the live streaming world back in the spring and summer of 2020, I decided to make the early initial investment in an Elgato Camlink 4K. Now, I initially purchased this as something for myself, just to experiment with live streaming and play around with those types of setups. What I didn't expect is that in terms of me doing videography part-time, that live streaming gigs in general would take off in the way they did. It was only a few months after I purchased the Camlink that my friend, through his videography business, began asking me to have inquiries for streaming weddings, such as with wedding ceremonies and receptions. Funeral services would start requesting live streaming, and then we'd even get requests for larger live streaming events where multi-cameras were at play, and where you had conferences and other galas that were turning to a virtual arrangement to fulfill those events. In truth, the Camlink was going to become an essential part of these services and was going to really show its worth during those events, and it absolutely delivered. In the 5 or 10 events I've been using the Camlink now, it's been rock solid, and I can't highly recommend it enough. But I'll mention a few things as to why the Camlink is just a great option in general for people looking to get into live streaming and needing a capture card. As I mentioned, the plug-and-play capabilities of this capture card really goes without saying makes it worth the price alone. When Elgato says that this capture card works with just about any piece of software, they're generally not joking. When I plug this into my computer, say my Mac, I find that I can launch Zoom, and when I need to select a video or audio source, it's there, it just works. If I wanted to use the YouTube webcam streaming option to select a video and audio source, it's there, it works. Though I probably wouldn't recommend the YouTube webcam streaming option, but that's a discussion maybe for a separate video. Similarly, if I wanted to use a program like Open Broadcast Studio or OBS, and I wanted to use my camera through the Camlink with that, again, it's a simple selection of an audio and video source, and it works well. Even if I want to do direct recordings of the camera through QuickTime, because remember, this can record up to 4K and 30 frames per second, so you can use this as an alternate means of recording if you didn't want to record internally for whatever reason, or monitor the camera signal on your laptop. In that case, just as with all the others, it works exceptionally well. I've used the Camlink now on events from, say, a 30 to 60 minute smaller single camera live stream to some of these larger events where it's going on for hours and hours on end. Honestly, live streams can be very finicky in general for a lot of reasons. In any of those cases, the Camlink has been rock solid, and there's never been any issue with it. I've never needed to unplug or reseat the Camlink in any of these scenarios. It's been a very solid, stable connection, and it's proven itself to just be a really solid tool to have in your toolkit for live streaming. Now, the Camlink itself doesn't really come with too much to talk about. Its packaging does come with a USB extender you can use if you need it. Overall, the Camlink is a pretty small and compact device with a USB Type-A connector on one end to plug into your computer and an HDMI input to connect your camera to. Really, again, there's no software you need to worry about. I find with my Mac, it is plug and play. It is, according to Elgato, the same case on Windows PCs as well. There is a white light on the Camlink that you'll notice when the device is connected and in use, so that is sort of a visual indicator to let you know that the Camlink is operating as expected. I found the Camlink to be such a good solid tool and option to keep around that even for gigs where I'm not doing live streaming, it's so compact and such a handy thing to have. I will throw it in my bag just in case a live stream ever needed to be brought up for any reason. And frankly, because of how well it works with different operating systems and different programs and the fact that it's just a solid plug and play device, we could use another laptop with it that didn't have any software installed and it would be fine. We could additionally take another camera, whether that's from another manufacturer or any other scenario, and so long as it has a clean HDMI out feed, we'd be good to go. So in terms of recommending the Camlink, it would be an absolutely resounding yes. The Elgato Camlink 4K has completely delivered and done a lot more than I really expected it to, and has grown with me and has grown with different streaming gigs as they've come up. I mentioned the fact that there are larger multi-camera setups that we've sometimes done for larger events as well. It's worth noting that devices like my ATEM Television Studio HD from Blackmagic are not a capture device themselves, and so again, you do need some capture card to get the video and audio signal into your computer. And again, the Camlink works incredibly well for this also. I think given the varied price range of all these capture card options, the Camlink situates itself nicely on the lower to mid end in terms of price, but gives you a lot of good quality and reliability and just general bang for the buck, right? You probably don't need to invest in one of the highest level tier models that are out there, but you also probably don't want to go with the cheapest thing you can find. And as someone that's doing live streaming now as a core component of videography services, while also still wanting to play around with it myself, the Camlink strikes the perfect balance in between. Check. Alright, hey, Andrew from the future here. Figured I would add a little note or two as I'm editing this video right now, just here from my desk. I did want to mention a couple points to mainly focus on that whole price point element of capture cards and why you have such a great disparity in prices. I think it's worth noting that you are paying for something a bit more when you get one of those top-of-the-line Magewell or Blackmagic or Asia models. Mainly in terms of color bit depth, a lot of these higher-end capture cards do support something like 10-bit 422 or even 12-bit 444 color in some cases. They might also support higher resolutions and frame rates. One thing you have to consider though is even if something like the Camlink and cheaper capture cards are only doing, say, 8-bit or 420 color, and Elgato is a bit opaque about this in their own specs, you have to consider in terms of just compression what this is going to look like anyway once you're streaming, right? On platforms like Zoom and YouTube and Facebook, these signals are going to be highly compressed anyway once they're being transmitted and people are watching these online. And furthermore, generally that increased color bit depth is really going to help when you're actually trying to push and pull colors and edit an image in post. For the most part, in terms of streams, I can certainly say this for myself. You're shooting in body color, you're trying to broadcast something out there live. Maybe there'll be a recording you have after the fact, maybe you'll do some basic editing of it, but in general, you're not going to be doing the same amount of work on it you would be with a more polished, finished product that you're actually recording at a given point in time. Now, the second area where you might have a difference in these capture cards that cost a bit more could be in the realm of latency. That said, I've never noticed any issue in terms of video or audio latency with the Camlink specifically. I don't think there'd be likely a huge difference in terms of latency that at least would be perceivable to the eye or ear with most of these other capture cards, though some have noticed with the really cheaper options that there is a bit of lag there, say compared to the Camlink. That said, when you're streaming, latency can come in a lot of ways, right? If you're connecting your camera through HDMI and that run of a cable is, say, over 50 feet, that could be one area where latency is introduced. Even beyond that, some cameras just introduce latency themselves in the connection. And you might notice this if you connected audio separately and fed that in and had a separate video signal. And if you noticed any disparity there, that'd be an indicator of that. All of that said, yes, there are reasons that you'd have more expensive capture cards and why some of these are the top tier end models, but I really do think the Elgato fits in nicely and is a great option between all of the different price points there. A little bit of a nerdy, in-depth rant, but I figured it was worth mentioning. So now back to the video. So again, I would highly recommend the Camlink as something to consider if you're looking to get into live streaming. It is going to be one of those essential pieces you might not realize or even think you need, but you'll be glad you have it when you do. Hopefully this video has been of some help. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if it has. And that's all I have to say. So thanks for watching.